Hi guys, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Now this is part 2 of my chat with Dania Gu. But before we go, here is a message from our sponsor for this podcast.
华生私材是周先生一手创立的私人定制高端品牌，品牌坚持匠人精神，每一件单品都一针一线，精益求精，在全球甄选优质面料，全手工制作高品质的高定男装与配饰。品牌创立灵感源于经典山庄，注入全新风格与理念，营造灵动有型的优雅男士绅士形象。华生私材拥有6家门店，上海3家店，苏州2家店，泰兴1家店，旗舰店位于上海徐汇区湖南路343号，毗邻淮海路。
Thank you very much for that, Hannah. And I have also got a suit there from Will's Tailor Shop, and I'm looking very, very smart indeed, if I do say so myself. Best to get in contact with Janet, the lovely Janet, and her contact number is 156018-12795. Alright, this is part 2 of my chat with Dania Gu on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Did you go to any Broadway shows there?
A lot.
Yeah.
And I still constantly, every time I go back to New York, I try to catch up at least 4 or 5 of them.
Well, what was your first one you went to?
I believe still Phantom of the Opera could be my first. Yeah, and then Les Mis, and then Miss Saigon, and there's just too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm very lucky the fact I saw the original production of the producer with Matthew Broderick and Ethan Lamb, and that was huge. I know me and my husband, we waited online outside of the theater for like 14 hours to get the standing tickets, and then we were like so cold.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they give out like 20, not give out, they sell 20 standing tickets like every day, and you just have to be really lucky to be that first 20 people in the line. So we were like dedicated, we'll go to get our tickets. Yes.
But gone are the days of doing that, lining up to get a ticket to a show.
Yeah.
It's all online now. You don't get that whole...
It's a different experience,
Yeah.
and I absolutely love musicals. I think it is the 2 hours of the experience will take you completely out of your own life. It's like a really good movie, right?
Yeah.
But when people
It's live.
singing, dancing in front of you, and it's live, you're breathing the same air. It's different.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I could just see the time and effort that they come in to put this show together. Any show.
Yes.
And especially on Broadway.
Yes.
But they're so professional, and they just don't miss a beat, and it's just bang, 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 bang.
Yes.
Costume changes.
It's and every single department is so equally important.
Yes.
One person misses out and something can be wrong. So I'm fascinated. I've always been fascinated in the theater. My first year in New York, I was a film major, but I changed my major to performing art in the second year. The reason being is that I will never forget, I went to NYU in 1998. And back in the days, we're still learning about film editing as cut the film itself. And it's so expensive to make movies. So I was spending more than my mom planned it that I would spend in New York my first year. And she literally says to me, I don't have any more money for you for your next 3 years of university because you spend it all in the first year. I was like, okay, there needs to be a game changer. I can't do this. So of course, the second year I was about to take a student loan, but I didn't want to spend that much money on making projects anymore. And I was like, you know what, I need to go back to theater. So that's why I switched to performing art in the second year, and I was so much happier because the magic being in a black box or being in a theater, even backstage, it's so fascinating to me. Yeah, so I have never looked back from that day, and I've been in the theater ever since.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you said you went back to New Zealand for a year and a half.
Yes, I was working for the National Children's Theatre when I first went back to New Zealand, so I was very lucky from like...
So you were like picking children? Like
no, we were doing productions for the children. so we were like doing a puppet show for the children, and we would do productions for them and stuff. So I was in that was really, really great experience too. And I needed that year and a half to just kind of recollecting my thoughts and see where I want to go. And after a year and a half, I was like, I need to go back to Asia.
And could your parents sort of pick up, or could your friends tell the change when you lived in New York?
Yes.
When you come back?
I think they all hated me. They just didn't want to tell me to my face.
Who is this new girl?
Yeah, I was like, why is she so cocky? Why does she think that she's better than everybody else?
Yeah. But it does give you a bit of a confidence booster, definitely. But you've got to sort of...
It does, but I need to, I still remember when I first went back to Taiwan, moved back to Taiwan from New Zealand. I was like, I really need to dumb myself down a lot. I need to hide the light or the glow, whatever, because people will feel really threatened by you. And I didn't want to turn, I don't want to come in and say I know everything better than you. I don't. Yeah, but people just immediately sees you as somebody who has that light, and I was like, I don't. I'm starting from zero, and then I want to work with you guys, and I have a lot to learn. Yeah. So I'm not better than you. Please don't treat me like I'm different. Yeah. But that was very hard for the industry because it's a very tight industry. It's a very, very tight circle, so it's very hard to break in. When I first moved back.
So then when you come back to Asia, were you doing film? Were you doing
for the first 2 years I was doing I'm picking up a lot of film gig, video productions and stuff, because I needed to pay back my student loan. Right. So I was doing that mainly to make money. So, and by the time I didn't have to pay anymore, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I was like, I'm done. So I just went back to theater, making no money, and makes my mom very miserable. But I was also teaching English on the side, so that also makes money. So I was like, Mom, don't worry, I'm making money, maybe not from what I do, but I will still, I can feed myself. Right. Don't worry about it.
Well, it says here that Representative Work accompany you to the end, dream, that period of time in the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes. So that's a lot of that was my original production, my play. When I first went back to Taiwan, I was an actress for a very brief period of time. Brief meaning probably only went over the course of 2 years. Until one day, my husband took me out to dinner and said, I think you need to quit acting. I'm like, what? I think I should quit you first. Yeah. So I was like, what? You're not supporting me. And he was like, because I just think you're a better writer and director than an actress. And I was like, at that time, I didn't see it. I was already writing, but I didn't see I can be really good at directing. And
couldn't you do both? Is it too much?
I really think in order to be a good director, you cannot be an actor at the same time. It's because the subjective is different, and you cannot see yourself that way. At least I couldn't. So I after the 2 years being on the stage, even though I really did enjoy it, I didn't know I actually have more fun directing people than being actually on the stage.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like I said, people have different gifts. Yeah. And my gifts always I can see the bigger picture. Yes. And being an actor, you cannot. You have to really focus on you and the relationship with other actors. But being the director, you see everything, and I think that to me was a lot more fascinating than just learning my part. So so I switched to just professionally as a writer and director from that moment on, and I loved it. Yeah.
And that was all in Taiwan?
That was all in Taiwan, and I did a lot of my productions there. And one of the play is called Who is Othello? It was basically a black comedy. It's a play within a play. I turned Othello into a comedy. Right. Yeah, and then the play was picked up by the Shanghai Drama International Festival. So they invited me to come over, and Accompany to come over and to do that production in 2013. Yeah. And there was another local producer there saw the play and they loved it, and they asked me for my other work, and they saw another play that I did in Taiwan, and they purchased the right for that play as well. And they also put out a production here. And so I think that was the time I was like, okay, you know what, I think Shanghai is my next destiny. Well, I was already in Taiwan for 10 years, so I was like, I'm ready for something different. And I think the market in Taiwan, especially the theater market, is too small.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what was it like there?
It was fun creatively because nobody says anything about what you write or what you create. So you have completely creative freedom in a sense. But I kept asking myself, now being in China for 8-9 years, is it good to have that much creative freedom? It's not that saying that like it's not good. It's just nobody will actually come back to you and do a very good editing for you. But the producers here in China that I'm working with, they are great editors for me. And being a director and a writer, you need somebody who comes up and to you say you, and somebody who tells you, say, you cannot keep saying those 2 words, or it's just way too long, you need to cut it off. You need to cut it shorter. And then most directors say, no, you don't touch my work and stuff. No, but a good director listen to producers and then learn how to work with the producers in China, not in Taiwan.
So you're saying like coming to Shanghai was like the next level?
Yeah, it was. Now my play has been in Wenhua Guangchang by the huge arena like in Fuxinglu. So I never would dream of to be putting up productions in those theaters, and I'm just feel really fortunate.
Yeah, and you've got a list here of all your achievements here in Shanghai as well.
I'm very lucky. Like I said, I never did any commercial work when I was in Taiwan, but coming over here, just because you are a theater director, it's very easy to cross over to the commercial world. So I started to direct Fashion Week, Shanghai Fashion Week, started to direct a lot of the car shows, started to direct like phone lounges.
Black Cat Sheriff original music, I Want to Fly With You.
Yeah, that's completely original. I wrote the lyrics, I directed, and so like I said, I felt China opened up so many doors for me in that sense, professionally. Sha Fu
Club, Shanghai International Art Festival.
Yeah, I did so many.
Yeah, so the list goes on and on.
But I'm like I said, I feel so blessed because I never dreamed of I would do that if I stayed in Taiwan. That opportunity would never occur. Yes, so.
And for your family, you have a daughter and a husband as well. So has the moving around been okay?
So to my daughter, like it's Shanghai's the first place she moved from Taiwan. She was born in Taiwan until she was 5 years old. So the transition wasn't that hard for her because she was very young, and she has always been the French school in Taiwan and in Shanghai. So she goes to lycée français, and that made easier for her. Because French school is always very, very stressful. So I think that was okay for her, but she now at the point that she's so sick of saying goodbye to her friends because as you know, like expats comes like on a 3-year contract and they leave. And so she's always the person who stays behind because there's a lot of her friends who comes here for 2 years, 3 years, and they have to go. And it's hard for her to be that person. So she'll say, when's my turn? When do I get to leave? And I'm like, do you want to go to boarding school? I'll send you to boarding school. And then, no, I don't want to go to a boarding school. I'm like, okay, why not? I went to boarding school. I enjoyed boarding school. I was like, but then I don't want people to tell me when to turn off the light. I tell you when to turn on the light at home. And like, that's different. So, but she's just adjusting. I think just the fact that she's teenager in Shanghai gives us a lot of peace of mind because we know, in sense, it's not America. There's no gun here.
Yes.
I don't have to worry that much when she goes out with her friends in a mall and stuff.
It's so safe, isn't it?
I don't feel, as a mother, I want to be selfish and to keep her here just a couple of years longer because of that. I think the world is a crazy place right now, and there's so much uncertainties, and there's so many people because of the COVID and lost their jobs and also lost their minds. So I don't want to. I don't want to send her back to the U.S. or Europe right now. I just don't feel it's safe. So I want her to have a couple more years here. Yeah, But for my husband, that's the funny part because he is a true New Yorker. Like he is so New Yorker to a point like it's in his DNA. So, but he loved New Zealand. He absolutely loved New Zealand, and I think some part of him has never forgive the fact I took him away from New Zealand because he really felt that's what life should be. You shouldn't care about a lot of nonsense, and you should go back to a human being who you are and your roots and fixing things with your own hands.
Yes.
And I think that was so for him to come to China after 10 years in Taiwan, it was hard for him. A lot harder for him than I would expect it, because Shanghai is so international, and so I thought, like for him it would be like, so easy to meet friends and easier, even though he speaks Chinese now, but I always thought Shanghai is easier for him. But I think the whole experience of China can really overwhelm anybody who doesn't have the cultural background here.
Yes.
At some point you will hit a wall.
Yeah.
You either break through it or you get your head bleed and then you just scream on top of your lung and say, how am I going to do this? This is crazy. How long can I stand for?
And has he adapted to living now in Shanghai? And
I think he doesn't really have a choice, and that drives him crazy because he knows his wife loves here, and he knows his daughter is having a great school here. So to him, he knows he knows in his conscious mind that this is the best place to be. Even logically, it is. But I think if he has time to go on vacation by himself on top of a mountain for 2 weeks, that he'll be really happy. I think for a lot of white international foreigners, the problem is you haven't left the country for 2-3 years, and that's hard because he's always been able to leave, and the idea of being trapped in a place is, even though it's not really trapped, it's that psychic, it just feels like a prison, and he cannot take the fact he's in a prison. So that's the hardest part. And then, like I said, it's not like he hates being here, it's just the fact that the sense he cannot leave.
You can't.
And then that's the frustrates you. Yeah.
And if you leave, you
might not
you can't come back.
And so I think that's what's
it's a life choice, isn't it?
The most.
Yeah.
And even though if you go back to New York, that's what a million cases now walking around the city. And then it's not better choice, but it's a choice.
Yeah, it's absolutely. So Red Box, like you said, it was like leading up to it, and it was a little sort of like a spontaneous thing.
It
was not something you sort of planned out years in advance.
No,
so,
it really wasn't.
So the Red Box.
Okay, so the Red Box, and so last year during summer, the owner of the apartment, the nightclub, the apartment, came to me. I knew him through a friend, so we know each other for a couple of years now. And he came to me and say, the apartment is not doing so well because there's no foreigners traveling in and out of the country, and so apartments always know a place where foreigners go and clubbing and drink. So, and he's like, I need to turn this into, Dania, do you have any ideas? What can we do to turn this place into something different? So that was the time when I was pitching him to do a dining theater. Because I say, you want to do something that's very different from that's current in the market. You do a nightclub, if you don't throw, $20-30 million into it, you can't do it. With marketing and other stuff, if you don't have the kind of money behind you, you just cannot do it. But if we do turn into a dining theater, it would be easy because I know my industry and I know my profession, so I can do it professionally very, very well. And if we have the teaching staff, it could work because there are so many dining theaters in New York, in Paris, in London, and they're all doing very, very well. And people want to be entertained at the end of the day, right? Going out to eat is just not that simple anymore. It's just you want something more than eating or drinking. So he was really excited by the idea. So we created, my husband and I created the brand Red Box. Originally, the idea was very simple. We're just going to turn the apartment into the Red Box. And we opened in September last year. And I just was amazing because, again, we did it in less than 2 months.
Wow.
It's like, it's just like in Shanghai, anything can happen. We did in less than 2 months, and we were putting up shows and everything. And we were doing, I think, for a brand new place that just opened, we did quite well. But other investors in the place didn't see the same thing. They didn't understand the show business. They didn't understand that you don't see the return until probably a year later. Like that's the nature of a show business. It's 3-6 months, right? But you never see it on the first month. That's insane. But because they didn't see the number as they want, they were like, you know what? Maybe show is not the way to go. Maybe we should just do restaurant. So they wanted to just have the space to do a fine dining restaurant. Right. And then we're like, okay, that's all right. We take our brand somewhere else. And that's when Grant, the Pearl, reached out to us and say, you know what, why don't you guys come to the Pearl? Because we really need a cabaret during dinner time. They want to turn their place into more fine dining places as well, rather than just late night concert and drinks. They want people who actually come here to dinner. And the slot between 7:30 and 9 to them is completely dead. Nothing is really happening. So because we are focused in dining theater, it's just kind of a perfect marriage. Right. So in December last year, that's when we started to merge with the Pearl, and then now we are premiered at Pearl every Thursday night. After Chinese New Year, we're going to be there every Thursday night with a Red Box performance.
Yes. So it says here, 1st of December, you announced it on your WeChat that
we're going to
partnership with. But was it like months before? Because it said, "Oh, we've been waiting to tell you."
Yeah, because the thing is, I have been to the Pearl, and I personally love that theater. I love just something about that theater. It just brings me back to Paris or to New York. It's something very authentic about it, and I loved it. The problem with the Pearl is always, to me, it's always focusing on the foreigners. And with the foreigners leaving these days, we cannot only focus the market on the foreigners. And just, if you have one group of audience and you call them the foreigners, you're dead in Shanghai. I mean, seriously, there are so many businesses closed because they're only targeting the foreigners. And it's not sustainable. It's really not. And I know that from day one. And being here, and I have so many friends in the F&B business, and they all closed down. Come on, and On the Bund is closing because of that. Right? And then they did for 23 years. And they cannot do it anymore. Why? You know, Michelle's amazing, and even she couldn't hold down the ship. And who am I? There's no way. So Grant, being Grant, he's so freaking smart. He knew in his heart he cannot
to do something.
He needs, the change is now or never.
Either
you change or you die. You have to do it. So that's when he came to us and say, because I only hire Chinese actors, and all of my actors are already well known in the industries, so they can bring their own fans into the Pearl, and because of the way they perform, they can attract the locals as well. So it's not just to the foreigners.
Just totally makes sense.
It just makes sense. And start to even have them start to sing Chinese songs on the stage, which never happened again in the Pearl, right? And because of doing that crossover, you start to see the mix of the audience as well. It's not just the foreigners anymore. You start to see there are shows you literally have more Chinese than the foreigners, and that's what needs to be seen, and that's what needs to happen. And
that's what can work both ways for them, because then Chinese people that had never thought of the Pearl are going to start going to the
Western shows as well.
Oh, they're doing the Queen show?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
So why not? A lot of people do that. Like now they will come to see our show, and they will stay for the second gig after that. And that's wonderful. It's a win-win for all of us. And that's why I say, even though I have done so many huge productions in other theaters, but this is like being in the pro and having your own brand. It's totally another level of thinking.
Yes.
And then you realize you can change the industry a little bit, and that's powerful.
Yes.
And I really think to be able to be the person to say, I bring back cabaret, and I'm not hiring just the blonde tall girls and dancing in the circles. That says something. I want to bring the classy sexiness into the theater, and that's what I'm dedicating myself to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us how you pick the performance. You said that they're all nationally renowned.
Yeah.
Maybe internationally renowned.
Not, but definitely nationally.
National.
Like, if you just look at I have one or two newcomers, which they're just so freaking talented, but they hasn't been picked up by the industry. No. And so the way I pick my actors, my girls or my boys is, they are all so different. I have 5 people in order to do a red box show. 5 actors are needed. 5 is I think it's somebody knows. 5 people are always required because it just looks better choreographically on the stage, and you can do a lot with the number 5. And they have to be able to stand on their own. So that's the most important thing. They are also different. So if I have a girl who sings soprano, I need to have a belter like the other girl. You have a guy who's very, very gay and funny or whatever and fabulous, and I need to have a very straight guy who's doing the big vocals. So like I'm making sure all of my girls are very different, and my boys, my actors are all different, so they can hold down the stage on their own. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. It's actually, I have so many actors come up to me and say, they have sing in or act in the 2000 sitting theaters, but singing at the pro is nerve-wracking. Singing the red box is nerve-wracking. Why? Because you are literally that close to the audience. So if you screw something up, there's nobody there to help you to fix it. They can see it right there. Yeah. So if you don't have very strong personality or the kind of self-confidence that's required, you can't do it. You have to be very open. You have to be very inviting. You have to invite the audience with you. And that is not it's not anybody has it. A lot of people don't have it. A lot of actors don't have it. They have this wall between them and the audience.
Yes.
But to do a show at a pro or to do a show with Red Box, you have to be very open. Yeah, you have to let your guard down. You have to be vulnerable. And the audience can see that and they relate to it. And they will fall in love with you. And
that's tough sometimes.
Yes.
On stage.
It's very hard because in Red Box, the actor is themselves. They are not they are not just playing a character. They are themselves. So their personality has to shine through.
Yes.
And that's why they also love doing it, because they get to be them. They don't have to be just an ensemble in the back or playing another character. They get to be themselves. Yes. And that's very attractive to a lot of people.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've got these amazing talents, and I want to just say that, but my Chinese pronunciation's terrible.
That's all right.
So, Wu Zhangpeng.
Wu Junpeng. Yeah.
CC.
Yeah, CC.
Huang Yi.
Yeah, I have Wang Yi and Huang Yi.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so there are 2.
Related?
One's male, one's female.
Related?
No,
okay.
It's one's Wang Yi and the other one's Huang Yi. So it's very different. 高小溪 Yeah, 小溪.
And the choreographer?
It's Amy, Liu Ai. She is literally the most renowned choreographer for the musical industry in China. So we are very lucky to have her.
Where did you find her? Was it just...
through another musical theater star.
Right.
His name is Zhai Li Shuotian. He has been everywhere. You can see him on TV. He's in all the major productions. And one day we are having dinner, and he was like, Dania, I really want to introduce Amy to you. I think you guys will hit it off. And we literally have one meal together. And I say to her, and that was before the Red Box. I'll say, okay, Amy, just wait for my call. Like I will call you when the thing is ready. So after we decided we're going to open up a Redbox, I call her and say, "Can you please come and help me?" And she says yes. And that was it. You will work with the right people. It doesn't take that much convincing.
Yes.
You just work with them, and they know exactly what you're looking after. They know what you want. Yes.
The one thing that I've noticed just by seeing all this, that once they do become a part of the Redbox, it's like a little family. You're taking them out, you're going for dinners and all this. So it's not just performing.
No,
and
it's not. I'm very dedicated to kind of build that relationship together, because there's so many productions just come and go. It just come and go. You come and sing, and that's it. I want Redbox to be a place where actors really, especially the actors who want a little bit more for themselves and a sense of belonging. And also, being part of the Redbox, it's a lot of dedication, because you have to, a lot of times, if I have a newcomer coming here, I'm not going to run through another full-on rehearsals, because all the other people already know the choreography. So you have to learn it on your own. And you have to be able to deliver. On the afternoon we're doing the last run through, you have to be able to do it. There is no way you can't say you can't do it. No, you have to do it. And you have to do your own makeup, you have to do your own hair, you have to give. You know, in so many of the theater productions, they hire the full team of makeup artists in the back, and they'll take care of you. Your wardrobe is being taken care of. I'm like, no. Every time you take off your clothes, you need to put back on the rack. This is part of. I know it sounds so simple and easy, but a lot of them, they are not used to that.
Yeah, right.
They're used to, like, after the show, I just throw my clothes somewhere else. Somebody will pick it up. Somebody will clean it. In Redbox, no, you got to take care of that. You have to be responsible for your own act. You have to be responsible for everything, and it's a good training for them. It is a very good training for them, and I feel really blessed, because I went from like, oh, maybe it's hard to find actors, to now they knocking down my door and say, "Can I please be part of this?" I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold up another open audition at the end of February. I have to, and we just need more people, and they just like can't wait for my call and say, yeah, when's the audition? I want to come. Yeah. Right. So I even get foreigners to like drama school teachers and drama teachers, and like, "Can I please come audition for you?" I'm like, "Of course, come." Yeah. Eventually, what I want to see for Redbox is to have the foreigner and the locals to merge and to create shows together. I'm still having a little bit difficulty to get through the foreigners at a pro. I have no idea why. It's like very hard to get them to do anything with us. But like I said, I'm open, and I'm waiting for them to say yes. Can we do something together?
Give them time.
Yeah, I know. I will. I'm not in any rush. But like I say, and when that day actually happened, that's when our show will take to the next level, and then it will be absolutely amazing.
But even saying that, the Shanghai music industry, even in the underground, there's so many talented people.
Yes.
It's just a matter of just
you got to give them a chance.
Yeah.
I always say that, like, talents are everywhere. Sometimes they don't even know how talented they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the director's job, to give them the right role or right place to be, and let them shine. You just put them in the right place, they shine.
And speaking of talented musicians, we've had Elsa on the show before, and she does Wednesday and Thursday nights Redbox.
She was with us when we at the last location before the Pearl, and I would die if she can go to the Pro and do it there. And that's a conversation we're going to have with Grant, because it's like I said, he wants to have more traffic during dinner time, and that's when Elsa can provide. Like, it's nothing better than sit through a meal with the most lovely jazz. Yeah. So.
And he's such a lovely guy, Grant, as well.
I love him. One of the
nicest guys you'll ever meet.
He is, he's a Papa G.
Yeah, that's
amazing. It. Yeah, and it's amazing heart.
And listening to his story as well from Japan,
it's
like living in Japan, he's done so much in his career. and he accepted me into the Pearl.
Yeah, very open-minded as well, and he always protects the talents, and I think that's the most important thing too. For a lot of restaurant or theater owners, they don't really get that. You know, the talents are everything. You don't have the talents, you don't have a show. That's it. Yeah. So he's very protective of them, and I think that's the one thing I most appreciate that.
And that's the whole longevity of them as well. Like, you can see that the Red Stars have been there for 3 or 4 years now.
Oh God, yeah. It's amazing, and I think it's very important for a place like that to have a certainty for the audience. They know, like for instance, so they know on Thursday night they're going to see us. Yes. They know on certain night they're going to see us. The Red Star. So it's a certain comfort for audience. You know, okay, so tonight what are we going to do? Like, okay, I know that it's differently there, and so we can go see them. I like that about programming around town as well. Yeah, so you're not just popping up everywhere and not just in one location. Yeah.
And I also saw that it's a family affair. Your husband was the MC.
Yes.
Your daughter was your assistant.
My assistant. Yes. that was really fun because.
So that must make you very proud.
Yeah, because so the putting my husband up there as an MC was a coincidence. It was not something like we really planned to do.
Yeah.
It was just that we really want to have an MC for the show, and I really couldn't find somebody who is quite right for it. I've tried other person, but it just doesn't. You need, like I said, you need to be really funny and engaging, and not just the usual MC. I'm giving you cards and you just read it and that's it. No, you have to feel the room. You have to be spontaneous and you have to be fun and lovable. And it's not that easy to find that person, right? So I was like, because my husband used to be a trainer and for Oxford University Press, so he has done thousands and thousands of training across China with 20,000 audience. So putting him on a stage of 200 audience, it's like nothing to him. So I was like, just get back in the game and do it.
Put the hat on.
And for my daughter, the reason why she signed up for being the assistant is because she actually is a lyra performer. She performs lyra and she's been doing that.
I saw some videos of her dancing.
Yeah, she does dancing, but she's mostly she does lyra. She learned it with her teachers and stuff. So she really wanted to be on the stage of Redbox and at a Pearl. And I was like, okay, so you need to get in to know the theater better before they will let you perform. So I was like, so you got to come and help me out. And I paid her to be my assistant. I said, the more you know the show, the more you know the space, the more likely you get a chance to perform. So she's really looking for her debut.
That's
at
great.
the Pearl. Yes.
Come on, look out. So again, we just talk about upcoming dates. It says here it's every Thursday at the Pearl.
Yes.
You have the 17th and the 24th of February.
The 17th, now that show is cancelled because they have a private function took over the entire space. But the next show will be the 24th of February, and all of the Thursdays in March and go on forth. So you will definitely see us every Thursday night at the Pearl.
That's great.
Yes. We are really fortunate because we have been trying out on Fridays and we've been trying out on Thursdays. The reason why we settle on Thursdays is because for the business perspective, Friday night is going to be busy no matter what, like for any space. But Thursday night, people do still go to see shows because we start very early. We start at 7:30. We finish at 9. So that means even you have to go to work on Friday, you don't get home that late. We finish at 9, so you'll be home before 10 o'clock. We really want to push people to go out, not just on Friday, Saturday nights. We want people to go out on Thursday nights. So that's why we're taking the Thursday slot.
Shanghai is turning into New York. It's the city that never sleeps.
Exactly.
Get out there.
On Broadway, shows are every night besides Monday, right? So why can't we do shows on Wednesday night, Thursday night? I really want to push those boundaries because even the theater productions out there, they do shows on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays too, and then they doing just fine.
Selling out, yeah.
Yeah, so people are out there. You just have to let them know what you're doing and when you are doing it. Yes.
Let's do some final questions. So, what does the future hold for Dania?
Okay, so for me, I like this year. I really want. I would really want the Red Box to grow even bigger too. So now we have 10 actors who work with us consistently. I want that number to double. So that means we can have more shows in with more time slot and other stuff. So that is one thing I hope that we can do. And this year, for me personally, wow, I believe it or not, I haven't really think through that much. I want myself to be more at ease, because for the last 2 years you're constantly worried. There's so much things to worry about, and so if this year I can just not worry that much, that would be a good thing.
Have your 3 meals a day.
Yes. And I think and have a better relationship with everybody I know. I think this is something I need to focus on, like not just professionally, but in terms of with the family and my friends. I hope I can give them more time and of more myself to them. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to work on this year. Yeah, and just not worry. I think worrying really takes a lot of your positive energy away. So
yeah, there's something in the back of your mind, and
you're always thinking, wow, am I doing the right thing? Are we, like, it's the right thing to do? And you feel like you're constantly being chased by 100 problems. But at the end of the day, you can't solve all of them in one day.
Yeah, that's right.
You just have to let go of 95 of them and worry the 5 you can really do. So, yeah.
With your experience as a director, the Red Box, and all your previous experience overseas, what do you say to someone up and coming that wants to do something similar to your role?
Okay, so I just watched Tick Tick Boom.
Oh.
And I thought that was a
great movie.
It was such a great movie, and I also saw the Chinese production of it, and it's also fantastic.
Wow.
Go see it. Go see it. It's fantastic, and it's still on. So right after Chinese New Year, it'll be back on again. And I remember there was a line when Jonathan called his agent Rosa and say, so after my workshop, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And then she says, keep writing.
Yeah.
Write the next one. You write the next one, and that really hit me, because that's what a writer and director do. You keep going. You do the next thing. You find the next thing. You just keep on developing new script, new stories, new project. Then that's what I tell myself every day. You got to keep. You never settle.
Yes.
Like being a creative person, you never settle. I never settle. I'm never really that satisfied with what I do. I always try to make it better and find something new. It's that. So if you are in your 20s and just never say no. Try everything. Even with a project you don't think you're going to make a lot of money, just have fun, experience. Because you have the youth, you have the time, just do it. Don't just look at the number at the paycheck. You got to get yourself out there. You got to try a million things before you find that one thing you really like.
Because when you get double that age, you'll realize that it's not all about that.
Yeah, it's not about that. And yes, making money is very, very important, but that shouldn't be your number one concern. And especially when you're that young, like you should really just try to direct as many different projects as possible. I have been there. I've been up on the mountains doing outdoor MPVs, all sorts of stuff for governments, for officials, for private companies. I've done them all, and then you'll start to realize, okay, I don't really like doing that, or I really like doing that, right? So but if you've never done it, then you just don't know. You just don't know. Even for me, I'm taking on projects I've never done before. Yeah, so
but that's exciting, and it's creative. You're a creative person.
It's incredibly exciting, but it can be very scary because it's outside your comfort zone. You are not used to doing things that you don't really know, and we stick to the things we do know.
Yes.
Yeah, and I will say is to keep on doing the things you do know, but also time to time try the things you don't know.
Go in there, because there could be all new original ideas and I
always tell people that, like, so 1998 I went in to do film, 1999, I changed to do theater. That's another reason why. 1999 was the year the first digital camera came out. It changed the entire industry.
Yeah.
Now you make films from your cell phones. You don't wait that long to do things. That means everything that we know as what we know today can be completely different tomorrow. And if you don't push yourself out there and learn, then you are just going to be inhibited.
Yeah.
And you won't even be able to talk to your children. Your children look at you and say, "Are you a dinosaur? Seriously?"
Yeah.
She had to teach, my daughter had to teach me how to use Snapchat. Because I don't understand the concept of it. I was like, that's just weird. But it's like you have to just learn.
Do it.
Just do it. And being in China, I think we're also in a place that changes constantly. You know, I don't know how long you've been here, but I've been here 8-9 years. And I remember the first year I was here, we still use cash.
Yes.
There's still a thing called cash. Now, I don't have money on me. I haven't had money on me in a very long time, you know?
Yeah.
And that's really cool. That happened in the course of 8 years that you don't see money anymore. And even like, especially last couple of days is Chinese New Year, so my daughter will get red envelopes from my friends or relatives. And she's like, "Mom, what am I going to do with all this cash?" I'm like, "Can you just Alipay me?"
It's such a modern answer, isn't it?
I know. I'm just like, "Oh my god, okay, I will just take the money. I'll bring the ticket. Oh yeah,
cash.
What
What's
am I
this?
do with that?" It's like, okay.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's really funny. And Dania, tell us about your social medias. Where can we find you, and where can we find all information about Redbox?
Okay, so if you live in China, on WeChat we have a website. We have a site. It's called Redbox Stage. So if you just type in Redbox Stage, you can find us, and you can get all the information about our upcoming events, our shows, and even auditions and the contents that we're doing. And for me personally, I'm on Instagram as Dania Gu. So that's just my name, DANIAGU, and same as for my Facebook. So that's me. Very simple.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, the last part of the podcast, I asked some random questions just to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I don't know.
Let's try it.
Okay,
Let's try it. So, as of today,
what
who are your 2 or 3 top favorite bands?
Queens and Linkin Park.
Very good. I like that. And singer-songwriters.
周杰伦, of course, Jay Chou, yeah. And I really like that Sia. Yeah, so Sia, yeah. So that's 2 I can think about. Okay. Yeah. And Sting. I just have to throw it in there.
Good, good, yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
Give us your 2 or 3 favorite books that you've read.
Okay, so I recently just read this book. It's called A Life List, and which I really recommend it to anyone who's listening. It's about a mother who passed away, and she basically wrote 10 lists for her daughter to finish. But it's actually her daughter's wish list when she was 14 years old, and her mother found it. And so the daughter will literally write, "I want to own a horse," or "I want to be a teacher," and stuff. But because the daughter, through life you start to become, greedy with money and stuff. You forgot who you wanted to be when you were 14 years old. And the mothers remember and ask her to finish all this 14 life list before she can inherit the money. So that was fantastic. I recommend. It's a great holiday read. So go read that. And another book I've been reading is called Husband's Secret. It's also a very good one.
Husband's Secret.
I don't know. It sounds like that, but it's really not that.
Right.
It's a thriller. It's a thriller.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and of course the Lost Daughter. Yes, it's a book of 4. Like the first 2 is about the 2 girls in Italy, and the number 3 is the Lost Daughter, and this is another 4 one. So,
top 3 favorite movies.
Oh wow, this is hard. Okay,
as of today.
The Scent of Woman, Pacino. So yes. So that's definitely on my top 3. And the holiday movie. Okay, the third one is going to be a little cheesy, but I absolutely love it. It's Kate and Leopold. It's with Hugh Jackman and and Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
I think that was the last romantic comedy that Meg Ryan did, actually. Ever since that movie, I can make Meg Ryan retired. But that was like the first Hugh Jackman movie that was made known. And of course, after that was Wolverine, The Great Showman, and all that stuff. But if you look at him in that movie, he has that baby face. That is so adorable. So I love basically, you put Hugh Jackman in any movie, I just love it.
And he's an Aussie as well. Come on.
That's right.
There you go.
That's a love. Okay.
And Broadway shows.
Oh, wow.
Top 3.
Avenue Q. Absolutely. And Chicago still. Yeah, Chicago is definitely up there. And The Producer.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Final question.
Yeah.
Who is your greatest inspiration / hero and why?
Wow. To me, I really do have so many different people's influence me differently. But I will mention this person. His name is Peter Boss. He used to be my jazz piano teacher, and back in New Zealand, and I still remember because the conversation we had still affects me today. I told him that I wanted to go to New York to study university, and he asked me, what do I want in life? And I said, I want to be successful. I was 17 years old. I was like, I want to be successful. And he asked me, how about happiness? And I was like, dude, I'm 17. And I think ever since that conversation, it really changed me profoundly, because then I always ask myself, am I doing this because I want to do it just for money, or I can get somewhere, or I'm doing this for the inner joy that I can really be fulfilled of doing it. So, and that just every time I'm doing something, I think of that conversation we had, and that is something quite profound affecting me. The way he thinks, so out there, so not conventional, and being an artist, like, he really changed my psychic in so many ways, and I think that's quite incredible. So as a Asian, like, the word happiness, it's not somebody you grew up that you pursue happiness. You're not being taught about, right? Being happy is not important. You think of everything else before you think about
being successful.
Yes, being successful.
But what is successful?
Exactly, and that Christians was like, why did nobody ever talk? My parents never asked me that. My parents,
because they didn't get told that.
They didn't get told that. So that's why I say, to be 17 years old, have somebody kind of plant that in your head. It was literally like a bomb went out of me. I was like, okay, that changed me forever. And so at any time I start to feel lucid or buried at work, or I just always think of that moment. I even remember where we had that moment, just outside the school hallway, and just after we had that class, and we had that talk, and it was amazing. Yeah.
I think that's a great way to end it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Craig.
Very, very talented lady, and I really like what you're doing with the Red Box, and now that you've partnered with the Pearl, I think that's just great, and I'll definitely be there coming to support the Red Box in the future. Good luck.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure being here.
Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.